Thank you. Uh, Hello, everyone. We are here to learn about classes and objects in Java today, as we have promised. Let me quickly give you a path of what we are going to take in this session for today that we have all gathered. So, first, greetings from Mercy Technologies. We all welcome you for this session on class and objects using Java. So before I go and present about class and object in Java, let me just give you a very brief about who I am and then what I do. My name is Karthik. I'm a certified Java professional. I work as a lead software development in a reputed product-based company, and I have 10 plus years of IT industry experience. I work in various Java-related technologies. Uh, I took many technical interviews till date where uh, I had to filter people based on various expectation levels for the team. And teaching is my passion. I love sharing the knowledge that I gained in my IT career till now to the students so that they can learn the things practically, not just theoretically. And one last thing, I've been with Mercy Technology and Shashi sir since last 4 years. It was an amazing journey. So without taking much more time, let me start with today's session. So today's session is all about class and object, and we'll be using Java programming language using which we'll be learning about a class and object. So let me quickly go through the agenda. This I think most of you have already read by now. We'll be dealing about an introduction to OOPS, introduction to classes and objects in Java, the features of class and object, and the real-time hands-on coding. So as a reminder, since Shashi sir has already told, we'll be providing you the certificate. Please attend the full session. We'll be giving you the link towards the end. So how we are going to proceed further in this session? One thing is I'll be teaching you about the theory. I'll be giving you a few real-time examples, and then I'll be going through the hands-on coding. All right. So just a theory, some real-world example of what objects are. I'll be dealing all these things in details, and we'll be going through the hands-on coding session. So this is the path that we are going to take as part of today's session. So without delay, let's start with the presentation. So guys, let me start with what a class and an object actually means. Right. So here I just give you a small what do you call a picture that actually represents the various object-oriented programming principles. So before we actually have a question, why should we learn about class and object? Right. So you are interested to learn in Java, learn Java as a programming language. Java is a programming language which follows object-oriented principles. If object-oriented principles is followed by Java, then we have to learn about object-oriented principles like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. But to learn and understand all these things, the base is object and a class, which means in short, if you don't know what an object and a class is, it would be very hard for you to understand what inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation means. And if you are having tough time understanding all these, then you would obviously be having tough time learning Java. So having the base very clear is the utmost important thing to get things ready and start exploring what Java is. So this is the reason why we have to learn about class and object. So if I just go through the basic definitions, I can say some basic definitions. Let me open you my presentation. Right. This is class and object from Mercy Technologies. I will tell you, see, we are learning about class and object today, right? I'll tell you what a class is. I'll tell you what an object is. And using this theory, let's proceed further to understand or mix the things with some real world examples. Let's connect all those dots and write some code and finally again revise everything to get a better picture and clear picture. And one more thing, guys, the motto of this session is to actually tell you that coding is not that hard. Learning Java is not that hard, provided you learn it in the most systematic way. So you just cannot just like that go and learn and say, okay, Java is easy. It's not like that. Java is easy, but you need to learn it in a systematic way. Let me proceed further with what a class is. Class is a template of objects. Class is a blueprint. Class is a pattern or specification which we can define the functionality. A class is a logical entity. These are the basic definitions. If there is an interviewer who actually asks what a class is, you answer him in any of this or a mix of any of this or a mix of one or two, he gets satisfied because class is defined in these particular ways. Now, one important thing is we need to know that class does not exist physically. So what exists physically is an object. I'll tell you what an object is in the further slides. So as I told you, by using class only, we can create objects. Let's actually know what an object also at the same time. Then let's get the definitions clear. Then let's try to link both class and object, right? By using class, we can create objects. Object consists all the properties of a class. Whatever properties we define in the class, the objects are acquiring all the properties from the class. An object exists physically. Object is an instance of a class. Guys, this looks like a theory. As I told you in my first slide, we'd be learning about the theory first. When somebody asks you what is a class, when somebody asks you what is an object, and what somebody asks you what is the relation between class and object, you have to have these definitions ready on your fingertips because these are the very basic things without which you cannot learn Java in a deep diving fashion. Right. Now, let's actually try to link these with some real-time example, real-world example. I'll open my notes once more and tell you, right? These are the real-world examples. See, this has nothing to do with the programming. Let's say, what are the object? Pencil is an object, apple is an object, book is an object, bag is an object, board is an object. All these are objects, right? So let's say pencil, right? There is a green pencil, there is a blue pencil, there is a yellow pencil. You can say apple is red, book is having a brown color, it is having some red ribbon, right? Bag is having some zip, it is a green board. So we have some properties. When I say pencil is in green color, pencil is in blue color, which I'm saying pencil is an object, it has some properties. Green is one thing. What can we do with the pencil? We can write. So when I'm speaking something about the object, I'm speaking about some properties related to that object, right? So I can say that whatever is the definition that I have given you previously, that one, if you can see here, the same definition, we can just go and get revised. So here, I have told you what an object is, right? Here I can say object consists of all properties. All properties are defined in the class. So objects is exist physically. Object is an instance of a class. When I say all these things, right? When I speak about some properties, so my red color is a property. My green color pencil, green is a property, etc., etc. I'll be dealing about all these things even with further explanation. So one thing as a link between class and an object, I told you object exists physically and class is something like a blueprint, right? I just want to have a link between my class and an object. So as my picture gives you some pictorial representation of a class and object, class is nothing but some blueprint. Somebody comes and draws on the drawing board saying, okay, car will be in this shape. It has 4 tires. Okay, it has a color, it has a price, it has distance, it has a model, right? And what a car can do, it can start, backward, forward, stop, etc., etc. All these are the blueprints, right? These are just the blueprints. Now, let's say somebody needs to produce a car. Let's say Audi company comes and says, okay, I want to create an object of a class, right? What is the class here? Class is nothing but a car, and the object is the actual car that is being produced by any manufacturing or automobile company. So this is how a class and an object is created. Class just gives you a blueprint of what and all an actual object of a class should contain. An object is nothing but it is a real world entity. It actually is an object which is taking all the properties from a class and giving some implementations to all these, right? So we have just seen what an object is, what a class is, and we have seen the relationship between the class and object. All right. Now, this is one real world example. Let me give you just one more real world example to get the things even more clear. This is one real world example. I'm giving you just one more real world example. Okay. So when I go here, this is my, yeah. Let's say one more real world example between a class and an object, right? So here, let's say you are a student. Okay, somebody gives you a form, or let's go with whatever is the example that I've taken. Let's say you're an employee and you are given some form and it has three fields: ID, name, and a company. Right? Let's say there is some security department or some admin department. They say is that okay, HR says fine, I need these details. What will the other team in the company goes? They let's say go to a Xerox shop and they go to a photocopy machine in the company and say, let's say they take 100 photocopies of the same plain paper. So here, if you think, I can say that this is a class. The class is having a blueprint. It is having ID, name, and a company, and it is having blank values. These are the default values. This is a class. Now let's say I have taken a printout. When I take a printout, I'm giving it to you. You have joined on the joining day. Let's say you get offer from Google or Microsoft or whatever is the software company. So they want you to fill some details. Let's say they give you an employee ID, they want your name, and they want your company. And once you're done with this, maybe they want you to sign at the bottom and then give it. So that piece of paper is a class. And once you fill, right? So I mean, this is a blueprint, and the piece of paper that actually existed in your hand is an object. Initially, it is having some default values which are blank. Once you fill, the actual values are being persisted, or you can say you are writing with your blue or a black ink pen, right? That becomes an object with the values that the employee is intended to fill, right? This is just one more real-time example of how a class and an object is linked with. Now, this is all theory. Now we have to use this theory to actually learn and understand how we can link all this with the programming language that we are actually about to do, which is in Java. So I just want to quickly check, guys, you're following with whatever I say? You're with me on this, right? Could you please confirm in the chat?
Yes, please proceed, Karthik.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now we have learned about all the theory, right? Now, let's try to link whatever we learned till now and try to make it in a practical way. Okay, let me come back to my presentation. I just come back to my presentation, right? So I'm giving you the basic syntax to create a class in Java, right? What a class consists, right? It consists of data members and methods, which we can also call as member functions. So this is the syntax: class space class name, open brace, and a closed brace. So what can be inside this open and closed brace? It can have data members and it can have methods, right? So this is how the syntax for creating a class is in Java. Let's proceed further. We'll take an example of how we can code the same in Java. Okay, so I have a class called employee. I'm using the previous details that I have explained to you. I'm using a class called employee. I'm taking the data members, which is ID, name, and a company, right? I want to add some method also, which I called as member function also. And I want to, give some implementation to it or print something inside that method. So this is a
Karthik,
class. Yes.
Karthik, sorry to bother. So could you please explain that image as well? Like after class objects, there are three images, right? Like each different object is created.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. If you finish that, if you come back, that will be good, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure. So this is a syntax in which what you call we create the class. As Shashi sir mentioned, let me just say these are instance variables and these are non-static methods or instance methods, right? So let me quickly go to this part as well. So previously I have given you one example, right, where the people have given an empty blank page and they need to write some details, right? Let's say the previous one that was given was a class, and when we fill the details, let's say you are given a paper and you have filled it with ID is equal to 100, name is Mercy, company is Google. Let's say some other person is given the form and he has filled with the ID is equal to 200, name is Angel, company is IBM, and similar, ID is 300, the name is Joseph, company is Apple. So these are the details that we are attaching to the properties of the class. So which means when you are writing this on the paper, it becomes an object. The one that I have denoted over here in the circle is nothing but the object, right? So I will be going into the deep details about how these object looks and then what actually happens, when you write code, etc., etc. I'll be taking you into all these details as well. So I think we have already seen what a class contains. Now, since we already know, we have come until this part where we have a class and we have the display name. Right. We have the syntax with us right now, a class, employee, and the display name, etc., etc. So before I actually this is nothing but a class, right? So my next point would be how to create an object. But before I actually go into that part, I'd like to quickly code this. I'd like to open an IDE and show you how do we code for a class. Okay. So by the way, guys, we are into this hands-on session. I'd be hands-on in the sense I'd be telling you, however, whatever has been dealt till now, I'm just writing code for that. Just follow whatever you know I'm I'm taking so that you can get the details in depth. Okay. What I'm trying to do now is see. By the way, this is IntelliJ. There are various IDEs. IDE is nothing but integrated development environment, which is nothing but to write Java code. We use these, right? There are famous ones like Eclipse, IntelliJ, NetBeans, etc. And I see Visual Studio Code is also gaining up the traction, but it's a preference. I'm using IntelliJ for now. You can use whichever is the IDE that you are familiar or you like. Uh, so let me quickly write a Java class. As I told you, employee, right? This is nothing but an employee. I'm creating a class. You can see I tried to create a new class over here. I selected class, and when I say enter, now here a new class is created, right? Now I have to write data members. I just commented for our understanding data members, right? So let's say I want an ID, I want the name of the employee, so I want the company of the employee, right? This is how I create the class. Now let's say I want to write about the methods as well, right? So public void. This is what I showed you in my previous slide. So I have written a method which actually displays the name. I want to print it. So this is a shortcut, guys. When I say s out and it gives me system.out.println, maybe I'll be speaking a bit more about it further. But now I'm printing this one. What am I printing? I just want to print my name is, and what is my name? I say name. That's it. So this is just a simple thing. Now, as I told you previously, This was the slide that I showed you, right? So here in my slide, I explained you that there is an ID, name, and company, and the display name. In my IDE, what I did is I've created a class called employee. I created the data members. I created the methods. So this is how simple you can create a class in an IDE. Now, since we are clear of how to create a class, let's further understand what an object is. Till now, what we have learned is we learned about class. Now, now since we are already having this class, we need to create an object. Let's try to first find out the syntax with which we can create an object, right? How to create an object in Java? Let me come to you line by line, point by point. So let's say I have a class and it is having some main method. I need to write this line, guys. This is very, very important, the utmost important line that you'll be learning today, right? So I'm creating a new object with the name E1, right? So this is the line which actually creates a new object. I'd be giving you the details about what each denotes, but this is what we use to create an object in Java. Now let's try to understand bit by bit, line by line, right? This line is the most important one, as I told you. Let's try to understand what employee E1 equal to new employee and open and close parentheses, or I can say brackets. Let's try to understand. What is this new employee of? This is nothing but the object creation or instantiation of an employee class. Previously, when I coded, right, I have written a new class called employee, right? So here I'm saying new employee is the part which says, okay, using this, you instantiate the object class or you create the object. So new employee is the one that actually creates the object. Now let's see the other. But then what does the left-hand side, the one that is pointing to the arrow, means? It actually means creating a reference variable. I'll tell you what a reference variable is, right? How it is important to link an object. I'll be giving you all these details. Now, one last thing that is present in this whole syntax is the equal to sign. What is this equal to sign? This equal to sign is the one that links an object with a reference variable. So let me give you a very crisp revision. This new employee is the one that actually is used for creating the object. This E1 is a reference variable that is used to link the object that we created. Equal to is the symbol that actually links the reference variable to the object that we created. Now let's see pictorial representation of what happens internally. So we need to learn or we need to understand what a heap memory is. See, by the way, there are various memory segments in Java, which I'm not going to deep dive, but a very simple example or very simple high level definition of what a heap memory is. Heap memory is the segment or a part of Java memory that actually has all the objects created in it. So this red color oval symbol one that I have actually drawn here is the heap memory. For now, just assume or think that this is a heap memory. Now, this is the object that I created. As I told you, initially, I do not have any values to it. So these are the values that are default, which means if I don't have any value to ID, it is 0. If I don't give any name, it is null. If I don't have any company name, then it is null. So these are the default values. So with these default values, the object is getting created. And I told you, object is not just properties, but also methods, right? This object is having the properties. This object is also having the method, right? This object is holding all these things and it is sitting inside this heap memory, right? This is the object creation part. When I say new employee of, then whatever is present in this blue color circle gets created. But how do we refer this? Okay, it got created in heap memory, but that's fine. I need some link to it, right? Heap memory has so many objects to it, but I need some link. In my code that I have written, I was linking it to a reference variable called E1, right? Employee E1. I was doing it. This linking I was doing using an equal to symbol, if you remember. And that is how you link the reference variable, and this is how the object gets created and gets stored inside the heap memory. And this is what happens internally when you write this code. When I write, let me open that quickly. I've dealt with all these things. So whatever I have written over here, object is created. I told you how the object is created, right? What is the link that is present over here? Now, when I say employee even is equal to new employee, this new employee, whenever I write, this is what happens. Whenever I write, new employee, this is what happens where employee even and there is an employee object that gets created. And this is how we link both these things. Right. This is what internally happens. Now I have given you the internal things, whatever happens. Right. Let's go to the hands-on coding session. Just once more. Okay. So here, let me open my IDE once more. And as I told you, let me take it. This is not required for us right now. Okay. Now let's try to create an object. Till now we have created a class, which we are all fine, all good. Now I want to create a Java class, which I can say a client. Okay. Now a class got created for me. Now what should I do? As I told you previously, there is something called a main method. Okay. I've written a main method. This ID, by the way, gives me the hints of whatever I need to do. Whenever I say main, it says, okay, this is how the main syntax looks. I've written that. Now I have to create the object, right? Let's say employee E1 equal to new employee of, right? This is what I created. Now, as I told you on line number 3, whenever I create line number 3, the object gets created. And whenever the left side part of this equal to is written, there is a link between the object that got created in the heap memory, and that link is held by this even, right? As I told you, there is, if in employee class, we have one more method, right? Display name. Let's try to see, right? Let's say E1 dot display name. I'm just calling, I created one object, right? I created one object, and this object is having a property as well, right? I can say a method as well. I'm just calling this method. Now, as I previously told you, right? So there
Karthik,
is,
Karthik, Sashi.
yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
can you please print that value instead of method e1.id name and company? That
Yes,
gives
that
more
is what
clarity.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is what I'm about to do right now.
Mhm.
Let's say I'm printing this right here. The name is null. Okay. I'll tell you what is happening internally. The name is null, as I told you previously. Here we have a name, we have a company, and we have an ID. These will be having the default values. I told you that the default values, uh, I'll just tell you the default values, which we have already seen: 0, null, and null. These are the default values whenever we don't give any value. All right. The same thing happened right now. What I did is I did not instantiate my object to anything. I created a new class. I tried to build something, right? And then what happened now? It is printing as null, which means till now we have learned the point where we have the default values. Now I'd like to do one more thing, guys. I'd like to just step up once more. So this is called as debugging. Okay. What I did is I just clicked on this line number called 4, right? I just put a debugger point over here. Here, I'm just saying client.debug. And when I debug, here, if you can see, my even is the object. It is having ID is equal to 0, name is equal to null, company is equal to null. So this is nothing but we are internally investigating what is this reference variable containing. Now, in the theory, when I explained you, it was 0, null and null, ID is 0, name is null, company is null. The same thing when I internally do this investigation of what the object is having, 0, null and null. Right? These are nothing but the what I can say the default values. Now a quick question would come actually, sir, how do we these are default values, right? No, I you told that some you have given a printed newspaper, or somebody has said that there is this 100 Mercy Google, 200 Angel IBM, 300 Joseph Apple. People have filled. Now you have told me until this point, these are blank values. People have filled this. So how do we do this part in Java? Now, this is the one that we are going to learn at this particular moment. Now, let me quickly go and tell you what or how to instantiate the new objects. Give me a second. This is how we created the objects. Now, this is how the heap memory got, and these were the default values. Now, I have to do something where I do not want these default values, but I want some values to it. All right. I want some values to it. Let's say I want 100, Mercy, and Google. Right. This is what I want. Right. Previously, I told you, what you call, we can have these properties overridden, or we can set these properties. Now, how do we do it? How do we do it? Let's go step by step. Now I have written this public static void main. I created a new object. Or before I come to this point, right? So I'd like to just give you whatever I have done till now. Previously, as I told you, I want to have, or I want to set these values. E1 dot name is equal to, let's say, Mercy. Okay. Now, E1 dot company is equal to, let's say, Google. E1 dot ID, I want to say that my ID is, or this is an integer, this is not a string, by the way. So I want to just make it this one. So guys, as I told you in my previous slide, I told you that we can instantiate these objects like previously when I showed you the nodes, 100, Mercy, and Google, right? If an object needs to get in this form, then we have to do, or we have to follow this syntax, e1.name, e1.company, e1.id. Now let's see the magic. I've done my coding part. Let me try to run this. When I run, sorry, there is a syntax error. Let me clear it. I'm trying to run it once more. And when I run, it says my name is Mercy. How did it, previously it was saying my name is null because I did not instantiate my object. But now I'm able to see that my name is Mercy because the name has been, the even as an object has been instantiated with the value as Mercy. Now, I told you the debugging that we have done previously, right? Let me quickly try to give you an overview of what happens now. Previously, what happened and what is happening right now. I debugged. Now, this is my debug perspective. I expanded this one. You can see ID is 1001, name is Mercy, and this is Google.
Yeah, you
Right?
can set the debug pointer at line number 3 and run step by step.
Okay. Then, yeah, that is also fine. Let me just proceed for this with this. Let me put the debug point at line number 3. All right. So I'm trying to debug it right now. We have done nothing. We don't have anything created till now. So this Where is it? So this is nothing but step over. F8 is a shortcut for it. I'm just clicking on this. Now what happens when I click on this? It comes to my line number 4. When it comes to line number 4, employee E1 is getting created. And if you can see here, employee E1 is created with null, null, and 0. These are the initial values. Now let's say I'm done with line number 4. What happens when I'm done with line number 4? You can see here, the object is instantiated with Mercy. Now let's say I'm done with line number 5. It is instantiated with Google. Now let's say I'm done with line number 6. It is instantiated with 1001. I can see that 1001, Mercy, and Google. Previously, when I had put a debugger over here, it was instantiated with null value, with all the default values. But now it is having the values that I intend it to have. Right. So let's say I proceed further. So this is how simple it is. Now there is one more question. What is that? You can see an ID is having 100 Mercy and Google. One more 200 Angel and IBM. One more 300 Joseph and Apple. Right. Now we have created only one object, right? Will Java allow us to create one more object? Let's try to see. Let's try to do the same thing using a different reference variable. Employee E2 equal to new employee of, right? This line will create a new employee object, and we are linking this object to a reference variable called E2. Now I'm saying E2 dot name. I'm instantiating this one to Angel. Okay, that's fine. Now let's say E2 dot company. Let's say I'm saying Amazon, and E2 dot ID is, let's say, 2000. Right. Now I created one more object. I instantiated with the values that I want. Now let's try to see what happens. E2 dot display name. When I do this, I want to display my next name, the new object that got created. I'm running this. And once I'm done, you can see name is Mercy, name is Angel, which means what might have happened internally. There is an object that got created. It is pointing, it is linking with E1 as a reference variable. There is one more object that got created. It is linking with the reference variable of E2. When I want to deal or when I want to instantiate, I'm doing it with this what you call dot name equal to, I'm just doing this instantiation. I'm doing this instantiation for E2 as well, and I'm printing. So like that, you can do this a number of times. There is no limit. Java doesn't say, okay, you can only create 100 objects. I will not allow you after that. It's not like that. You can use how many objects, you can create how many objects ever that you can. But yeah, there are various other patterns which says we should reduce the number of objects created. We should leave it to garbage collection. That is all advanced topic, by the way. But Java itself does not say, okay, I'll restrict you to creating only this many objects. I will only, allow you to create only 100 or 200. It's not like that. It is our discretion. We can use that many number of objects. And this is how simple class, object, and linkage between this class and object is. So guys, at this point, I just want to cross check. Is everyone with me? Were you able to understand what has been dealt till now? Shashi sir, by the way, I'm not able to see the messages. You can help me in this.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Okay,
We are
that's
seeing
great.
the comment. Yes.
Guys, happy to see your responses. Do you want me to repeat it once more? Whatever we have dealt until this point?
Yes, Karthik, that will give, you can go with classes and object. Yeah, definition, you can give overall
Yeah,
point
sure.
of view.
Yeah. So guys, this will be a refresher for you. I think you have followed whatever I told till now, right? If you can just closely observe one by one, how we have linked the things, then you'll understand what we have done till now. Okay. We have started off. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So we have started off with the welcome note, and I told you what we'd be dealing about in today's agenda. Today's agenda was to introduce about the OOPS, was to introduce about class and object, what are the features of class and object, and some real-time hands-on coding that we have already done. I taught you how we can debug,